I like to talk to people. I get on the elevator and I talk to everybody. My wife hates me for it. I don't know. I thrive on connecting with people. And I tell my staff all the time, if I make, 95% of people happy and 5% of people hate me, then I'm okay with it. I can't make everybody happy.
Welcome back to the Dental Practice Launch Podcast. I am your host, Shane Simmons, and today is one of those episodes that I've been, trying to put in place for a better part of a year, I would imagine. This has been one of those. It's taken some time to get it to fruition, but here we are. I have Dr. Ryan Driesse on the podcast here today. He is the owner of Mountain City Dentistry in Jasper, Georgia. And let me tell you something. For all of you listening to this is a heck of a story that you're going to want to pay attention to with explosive growth and a brand new practice. But before we get into that, Ryan, thank you so much for joining me. And just how is life as a practice owner going on 2 years now?
Yeah, thank you, Shane. No, it's awesome being on. Let me think. We started just November last year, so maybe a year and 3 months or so. I'm calendar challenged, but yeah, somewhere around there. We just hit a year not too long ago, so it's been great, man. It's a blessing, and yeah, it's just busy. It's great.
It's like I'm thinking already like 2 years, and it's like, but I think it was 2 years that I met you, roughly, maybe somewhere in there, and then because we met before the practice opened, so that must have been what I was thinking of with that. But well,
yeah, we the groundwork and legwork to get open. So yeah, we've been working together for at least 2 years now.
Well, it's been awesome, and you're just crushing it, and you're a great person, and if anybody deserved the success that you've seen, certainly it is you. And I want to chat a little bit about your practice. So Mountain City Dentistry, like you said, it's just over a year now that you've been open. How did this being a practice owner, was that always the goal for you, and specifically opening a startup practice? Like, what led you down that path?
Yeah, I mean, even before dentistry, I always wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to open up my own shop and do whatever it was that I was going to be destined to do. But dentistry kind of came along in college, and I realized that there was a lot of things that I had as characteristics that I was blessed with that would fit well with the position, and the fact that I could also own my own business and really control the way that my life was going to be, and the lives of my staff and our business and everything. So yeah, I think the CEO mindset is something that I always kind of had in my heart, that I just wanted to create something. But when it came to actually starting something from scratch and having no base to build off of, that kind of came along after my first experience out of dental school. I realized where I was at, that buying in or buying someplace else was not going to afford me to really make the decisions and to sculpt the practice that I had as a vision in my mind. I thought it would be more difficult to try and come into somebody else's home and then transition with them and really create my own vision from something that had already been there for 15, 20 years. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things along the way that kind of led to that. But yeah, I mean, I think pretty much the first day I came out and started working as an associate, I already started in the back of my mind thinking, like, I might just have to do this on my own to create what I want.
And so you went the startup route for the reasons you kind of just stated there, and had that business mindset, of course. But what led you to the town of Jasper, Georgia? Because I know there's kind of a story here with your upbringing, right?
Yeah. So we moved to Georgia when I was a little kid, to a small rural town here called Cumming, and it progressed over the years. It became more not so rural and more suburbanized, and even more, I don't know, like just growth like crazy, where there was traffic, and it became more inner city, and it's still becoming that. So when I was going to find where I wanted to practice at, I knew the kind of community that I wanted to be in. Call it geographic arbitrage, whatever you want to. I knew the lifestyle I wanted. I knew the places I wanted to go and the people that I wanted to treat. And I had a square search area, a grid of where I wanted to be at. That was about, I don't know, maybe 250 square miles. And it was very tough to find commercial real estate. And Jasper kind of came up out of the blue because there was somebody building a new medical complex that was there. It fit the demographic studies that we had done. and it fit the community that I wanted to treat. So I went up there to go visit the Rotary Club one day, and just it kind of happened like organically that became the place that I realized after meeting those people that's where I needed to be.
Yeah, because it's like that area you're describing. I know it's like, you know, North Atlanta or Northeast Atlanta, like coming in that area where you're living. It's just like, it reminds me of Dallas is a similar, where it just keeps growing, like outward continuously. And, you know, you certainly could have opened a practice in those areas, and I have no doubt you would have been successful. But I think what you said there is also interesting. It's like you kind of knew, you know, the type of people you wanted to treat, the type of practice you wanted to have, you know, community, all of those things. And, you know, you found an opportunity, you know, a little further out maybe than where you are living, but we're able to really, you know, capitalize that and serve a market that really needed it. And I think that's a great transition to what was that opening, you know, process like for you? Was it, were you welcomed, you know, in the community? Was it slow and there was hesitancy because there's an older doc in town, you know, who everybody goes to, and this new, you know, up and coming kid is open this brand new practice? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to say the least, because, you know, when I went to go just visit the Rotary Club the first day, you know, I was the youngest one that was there, and it is kind of interesting, right? Looking down on the younger kid in the room at the time. But for me, you know, they could see the passion, they could see the fact that I just wanted to connect with the community and build something that was greater than just dentistry. And, you know, it's nice being in a place where you feel welcome like that. So it did not take long at all. But the main thing is just building connections with people. You know, I was going into a place where I literally knew no one. I didn't know anybody up here. It was 30 minutes from my house, but it was north, and I'd only ventured up there a couple of times as a kid. So building that rapport with the community and making sure that, you know, they know my intentions and they know that the reasons that I'm coming in here to open a dental practice are the ones that connect with them as a community. You know, part of the reason I think we were successful is just because of that, like, you know, I like to talk to people. You know, I get on the elevator and I talk to everybody. My wife hates me for it, but that's really what I don't know, I thrive on. I thrive on connecting with people. And, you know, I tell my staff all the time, if I make, you know, 95% of people happy and 5% of people hate me, then I'm okay with it. You know, I can't make everybody happy, but I do my best to make sure everyone knows that I'm just really there to take care of them, you know, my staff and my patients and all that. You know, that's why we have such a great team too.
It's a great point. And for all of you listening to this, it's like something that I've repeated, you know, time and time again, and working in dentistry now for, you know, a decade of the marketing side. But it's like majority of people are not, you know, going to a certain dental practice because, you know, that dentist they think is the best clinically. It's like most, you know, average people don't know who's better clinically, you know, who has the most CE or any of those things. Not to say that's not important, but it's really what you just mentioned, the human connection, right? It's like people are buying you, right? Not the CE that you've done, not the, you know, years and years of dentistry that you've done. It's can I trust this person? Are they nice? Do they make me comfortable? And I think that that's something that you've really encapsulated there is letting your, you know, personality show. And that's one of your greatest, you know, assets. And then obviously the great dentistry that you do as well. And so you had a crazy opening, but before I dive into that, were there any challenges or roadblocks when it came to the opening of the practice? Construction delays, you know, missed deadline, anything like that happened? Or was it fairly like smooth sailing for the building of your practice?
No, not at all. You know, you try your best to plan for things to not go perfectly. You know, you plan for the worst case scenario. And yeah, I mean, we should have been open. I think that's the reason we were working together for so long, is because we should have been open well before when we actually did. We didn't open until August or October 28th, so pretty much November. And we should have been open, I think it was May or June of last year is when we should have been open. So yeah, that was a huge one. It was completely out of my hands. There was some electrical work that had to be brought to the new building because it was a ground up new building that was being built by the landlord that owns the medical park. And they had to go underneath a state road. And it took them 8 months just to get the approval to go under the road. So they had no electricity. The building wasn't even built. So that was a huge delay. I mean, an 8-month delay. So when we were starting our VIP list and really getting our patients in the community like excited to have us come in there, it was a little bit frustrating because we had to keep telling them like, hey, just wait a little bit longer. We're going to be in there, we promise. But yeah, that was one. Another big one was the office manager slash insurance coordinator, patient coordinator I hired quit 10 days before I opened. And she didn't even let me know. It was my the lead assistant that I had hired that had let me know that she was kind of having some, I don't know, disconnect when it came to communication with her, and she was worried. So then I got on the phone with her, and yeah, sure enough, she just quit on me. So thankfully, like I said, you plan worst case scenario. I had 3 other people that I had interviewed that I had ranked, and one of them was actually the daughter of one of our Rotary Club members, and she came right in. She's a like Spitfire, man. She's fantastic, and she's actually the youngest one on our team. So right now, she's running all insurance, all collections, and she's going to be stepping into that office manager role here pretty soon as we keep growing.
Man, it's like those quick lessons, right? You learn right away. It's like you never know what can happen in the day of life of a business owner, especially 10 days in the opening. You're so pumped to finally get in there after some of the delays and things that you described. And then that happens. That's tough. And I think for context, for those who are listening to this wasn't like, hey, this person quit, 10 days in, but thankfully, we've only got 10 patients, on the schedule for the month, and, we're easing into this thing. It was, I would imagine, kind of like drinking out of a fire hose there, because can you talk a little bit about the marketing that led up to the opening of the practice and this VIP list? Because that was quite something to see. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think every week people just kept getting added onto that thing over the course of the 8 to 10 months before we were open, when we started doing, because I started with ground marketing first, just by getting, my boots on the ground and going out there and visiting businesses and making connections. So through that, just me handing out my business card and connecting with people, we got a lot of contacts, and I can't remember exactly how many people we had on the VIP list, but I think it was close to 300. I think it was like 290 something. So we already had at that point a lot of people like in the funnel to be scheduled. So out of those 290 plus people we had on the list, I think in the first 2 weeks as we were doing the training with my team, we scheduled like over 180 of them. And then the rest kind of flowed in. I don't think all of them got scheduled, but almost all of them did over the course of the next couple months. So yeah, it was a little crazy trying to like just get ready for the flood of people to come in that have been waiting for a new dentist that provides a different experience and really leaves them like feeling like they're at a new home. You know what I mean?
100%, man. And how did that make you feel? I'm curious, because again, this is, brand new, first time you've, owned a practice, and you're getting that type of reception from a community that you don't live in, right? It's like you said, you didn't really know many people there. You've been doing some ground marketing and connecting with people, but it's like, what did that feel like for you once you saw the patients coming through the doors? And it's like, you're kind of an outsider in a way, because you hadn't been in that particular town for years. Yeah,
no, I mean, it felt amazing to know that when you go out there and you connect with people and you really do put your heart into your life's goal. Like this is not something where it's you go, excuse my French, but you don't half-ass this kind of thing, right? Like if you get into this, you're jumping off the diving board and you're going in all the way. I quit the associateship I was at a month before we were supposed to open, just so I could have enough time to get ready for all of them. So I knew that I had solid connections there, or else I wouldn't have quit my job where I was at. But I mean, there was some anxiety too, for sure. I mean, a little bit of scaredness, because I knew like I needed to provide these people with something that was truly special and different. And honestly, I mean, just keep my word to them as the community that this is what I created is not going to crumble just because of stress and pressure and all this other stuff. We're going to continue to keep our culture and keep our business the way that the vision was all the way back from the beginning when we started planning in 2023 or something like that.
And how I mean, I don't know if they were challenging. I would imagine it was, but those first few months where, again, you're seeing a high volume of patients, you're in demand. So you mentioned it's like there is that pressure there, that stress, right, to deliver a great experience. Obviously, you're doing dentistry at the same time, which is a total other variable to this. but then doing it at the scale that you're doing it when this is all new, right? It's like you're getting used to your team, the systems, the procedures. It's not like this office had been open for years and then you got this influx. This is happening within weeks. Was that stressful at the beginning? And how did you and your team, manage to pull through and get through those initial few months?
Well, my original team was me, and then we had one hygienist, we had our patient coordinator, insurance coordinator, office manager, all wrapped in one. And then I had I hired specifically who I wanted to be my lead assistant long term as my first assistant. So we had all 4 of us. We spent 2 weeks training on the practice management software, training on our 3D printer, our new cone beam, like all the stuff that was the technology. We spent a lot of time training, probably out of each day, I would say maybe 6 hours for the first 10 days. And then after that, it was all just getting the systems ironed out for collections, for, billing, for insurance, like just sending out our insurance, claims, that kind of thing. And then also making sure that the schedule is ironed out. So we gave ourselves extra time with each patient for the first 2 weeks. And then after that, we started to really trim it down more as we knew we were going to be more fluent with what we were doing. So we did try and buffer a little bit just to make sure that we didn't have any bad patient experiences off of the first day, which is funny because the first patient I did a crown on day 1, the scanner broke. Our new intraoral scanner broke. So it's like I could only scan for 5 seconds at a time and then it would stop scanning. So I had to figure out a way to get it to work really, really quickly. But yeah, I mean, we, again, just planned for the worst case. And I would say 85% of the best case scenario worked out,
Yeah. And that's a good lesson for everybody. It's like, the only guaranteed thing is things aren't always, going to go 100% as you plan for them to go. That is part of it. And, you just got to, like you said, roll with the punches there and sometimes laugh along the way, maybe cry a couple times, when nobody's looking. That there's part of it too. I've definitely had, some of those stories, but you just got to roll with the punches and you've done obviously a great job with that. Now, I am curious going into this, Ryan, did you have a goal for your first year? Like, what did success look like for you? Was it a certain, production number, collection number for your first year? And yeah. Did you hit that goal, come close to it? What was that like?
Well, so I think of goals in a couple of different ways, right? I like my goals to be measurable, but I also like ones too that you can't measure, which something like a reputation, right? You can't measure your reputation in the community, but that was our first and foremost goal, right? It was my reputation with my team, and then it was our reputation with the community. So my huge first goal was definitely accomplished from day 1, is making sure that like they knew that we were there to provide them an experience that they can't get anywhere else, anywhere close, and that we can give them great dentistry and we can do more things in the community than just giving them fillings and cleanings, And a lot of that is because of the marketing we did from the front end. I mean, from the Facebook campaigns that I did with you to, some of the things that we put out on our VIP list, some of the things that we were telling patients to try and get them amped up and happy and ready for us to get open. That definitely helped us hit our goals. But I think one of the measurable goals I had in my head was to try and get to a $600,000 collection mark for that first year. Because in my mind, that would have been about above average for a good practice after the first year. And I mean, that was something that was a huge goal. The other one was patients. I wanted to get to at least 1,000 patients by the end of the first year. It was a lot loftier, but it was something that I thought that we could probably do. And I wanted to get the next 2 rooms built out because we only started with 3 operatories. So those were like the 3 biggest goals that I wanted. And yeah, I mean, we crushed them all. I just built the last 2 operatories. So now we have 7 in total. They just got finished yesterday. I hired a second hygienist. I doubled the team in December of this year. So after we were open for about a month and a half, we hired another person up front. We hired another assistant and we hired another full-time hygienist that came on as soon as those other 2 rooms were done. And yeah, I mean, production collection numbers, I can't even begin to have thought that this is where we would be at after what we were planning for, but we ended up finishing last year at production about 1.95 million and collection was 1.8. So we Yeah, thanks, Shane. I mean, it's all because of the connections that we make. I mean, the team that I have, and when we were planning this, my goal was to treat my team like gold that I hired. But then I also, before I even hired a team, I needed to make sure that I had the best people surrounding me to make sure that this vision was going to come to life and fruition quickly. So, I mean, with you guys, with my build team, with our dental supplier, all that kind of stuff, it had to be perfect for this to work. And you guys all have my back and definitely made it happen.
Man, that is outstanding. It is what an accomplishment. And also just, a kudos to you as well, because, giving so much credit to the team, and just people you surround yourself with, because that is, anything lessons I've learned in, working with hundreds of practices over the years and just running my own business. It's like, you can go fast, by yourself, but you can't go far by yourself, right? You got to have a team. You got to have people that are there. You got to take care of them. And, they share that same mission. You got to get the right culture fit, all of those things. But it's, man, when you have a team like you do in place, it's like, and people that take pride in what they do and truly care, it's like, that is like the ultimate, strategy. And to tie it back into the marketing world, which is kind of what I do, it's like, it doesn't matter how much you spend in ads or what your ground marketing is like. And, if you could be in an event every single day, every single week, but if people come in and they have a bad experience and, your team isn't all bought in, it's like that is going to tarnish everything. And so what you've created is this powerful, just flywheel, right, of growth and referrals from everything that you all are doing. And that's been just so awesome, I guess, just to see. And, I guess one question that people are going to have out of this, I know, because hiring, I think, is probably one of the top pain points I hear from dentists. What is it that you've done, whether it's in the interview process, what is it that you look for, that you feel like has led you to hire such great team members?
Yeah, I honestly, I feel blessed with the team that I started with, because I think I wanted to hire an A+ team, but I could not afford an A+ team with the startup budget. It's difficult. And honestly, one of the main things that I looked for was sacrifice and for willingness, right? So for them to sacrifice the known, where they're at, however miserable they are, or however underpaid they were, whatever it was, sacrificing what they know for the unknown, and for me and my vision to promise them that we're gonna do something that's really just amazing together, to build it, and that it's going to be them as well that are a huge part of it. It's not just me. That was huge from the startup side of things, and it's what we continue to do when we hire going forward. I had never put out a hire ad on Indeed or anything like that. Everything that I've done hiring wise, I always hire by word of mouth and personal connections. So if somebody in my team recommends somebody to interview, then I'll interview them for sure. And then keep in mind that they need to fit this culture of what we have to a T. That's primary, number one. And then number two, their willingness to provide the extra mile for what we do. Because I mean, it's something simple as like me and the team, they clean the entire office. I don't have a cleaning team come in and clean the office, and I do that for a specific reason. It costs me more money to do that, but they have pride in keeping their home clean. They care about this place. It's their home too, and I think those are the two biggest things. It's the willingness to provide for the team and to have each other's backs, and then the sacrifice and knowing that you may be coming onto some place that is a little bit newer, that you really don't know what to expect, but knowing that I'm here to guide you on the path to success. And if you're on the journey with me, we're going to have the same goals. We're going to be a part of the same culture, and we're going to end up in a great place.
Yeah. And that's fantastic advice there. Fantastic advice. And, now just as we kind of move into kind of the final stretch here of the interviews. So one, I always like to kind of fire off a couple of questions, where one is, what has been maybe something that either you've learned about yourself in this process of, business ownership, or, what's been maybe one of the more, rewarding things? What's something that comes to mind in these last, year or so?
Well, I think there's two things that really come to mind. One was the fact that like I get to provide for people now as well. It's not just me and my family, it's them and their families. So, you know, when we get to go and do training together or something, like after the first few months, I took my assistants and we went off to the Engel Institute in Charlotte, and we did their M2 class together. We did their M3 class together. We're planning to do the M4 one. So, you know, providing for them to get more training and become better stewards of dentistry is awesome. And then also, you know, I guess one of the things that's crazy, but like every time I get to write a paycheck, you know, every 2 weeks, I get like a really good feeling inside that, you know, what we're doing is awesome. And I don't have to worry so much about having to provide for them, but doing extra. You know, we talked about goals before, and I didn't know how I wanted to pay my team before we started. And I went back and forth with doing salary versus hourly. And one of the huge things that has made me incredibly grateful for where we're at is that I'm able to pay my team for every single day that I take out of the office. So last year we were out, I think 22 days because we work our butts off. We need some time off, and I do too. And I was able to pay them their full wage for each one of those days, plus their sick days as well. So like getting to give them that space to be with their family where they don't have to worry about really, you know, when I leave or anything like that, it's been amazing. And I'm tired, obviously. I mean, it's a lot to do in a year. And I realized that, like, you know, time with your family is something that you do have to prioritize as well, because this is a huge part of my life and a huge sacrifice that, you know, I love, but you do have to prioritize yourself to have time to do other things too with your family and your own personal health and working out and stuff. So it's been a balance trying to figure out how to really give myself enough time to be healthy outside of the office while the office is also being healthy. You know, I think that's a big learning curve for me, rather than just being an associate and going in and working, you know?
Well, brother, I could tell you that took me about 6 or 7 years before I finally figured out a balance, you know, for myself. And that's, I think, something that every business owner goes through. But the fact that you know, I think have the awareness of that, you know, this early on in that, in the process is really a good thing, because then now you can start, you know, building the systems and the practice in a way that, you know, kind of allows for that. And to your point about, you know, paying the team, even with all those, you know, days off that you're giving them, it's like work hard, you know, and we got to play hard. And that is the key to, I think, just, you know, team retention, right? Is I was talking to another dentist on this exact podcast a few months ago, and he has a startup down in kind of the Gulf Shores, Alabama area. Yeah. And, you know, that's exactly what he said too. He's like, we, you know, may work four days a week, you know, in the practice, but we're, you know, if we only work 2 days 1 week, they're still paid the entire week, you know, paid over the holidays. It's like, I'm not trying to, and you know, you got to build the practice in a way that you can obviously financially afford that. But it's like, you know, I'm not going to nickel and dime say, oh, well, we didn't work this day, so you don't get paid for this day. It's like, no, it's like, they're the ones who make this all possible. So if it's feasible, you know, I'm going to do that. And I just think that that's a really great way to retain excellent people on the team. And, you know, as you know, it's way easier to maybe you do some of those things, benefits, which make you feel good too, right? Like as a human being, but then it saves you a heck of a lot of stress of having to constantly feel like, you know, you're having to do that hiring wheel that nobody likes to do.
Yeah, I mean, we took off all of Thanksgiving week. We took off the entire week of Christmas, and then I think half a week for New Year's. And, you know, they all didn't have to worry about taking care of their family with it. They can spend time with their family and like just enjoy life. And I can see the group text going back and forth between them while they're off, just how happy they really are. Even though this is a stressful job, like it's just, that's part of the culture. You know, you got to build that, and you can't just let it run itself, because if you do, this career dentistry, the stresses that happen in it, they will cause team members to just not enjoy their life. And you gotta kind of correct the wheel every once in a while. But that's where providing for them every day, you know, it helps.
100%. Well, last few questions here. What's on the kind of the opposite side of that? What has been the hardest part of practice ownership in this first year or so, or maybe one of the more difficult things that you had to overcome?
I think the hardest part is just the amount of decisions that you have to make every single day. because I'm not to the point yet where I want to really delegate the major tasks. I don't feel like until I'm here for a few years and we really have things smooth flowing with all of our systems after we have a larger team, I don't feel like I want to relinquish the large tasks, but then there's the small ones that pop up every day, the scheduling questions. There are things that happen, family emergencies. There's just stuff that you have to deal with that when you're an associate, you don't have to deal with any of that. That's part of the bilateral nature of being a doctor business owner. It's making sure that you can make confident, quick decisions on the fly and ensure your team that you have, you've got, I guess, the heart to make that decision, and you're going to stick with it, that's probably the hardest thing, honestly. I mean, I can only imagine in a single day, if I kept track of it, it's probably 10,000 decisions that I'll make in a single day, from minor ones to major ones. And yeah, I mean, everything from taking blood pressure on somebody just as a feeling, like a precaution. They come in and you have that feeling like maybe they didn't tell you everything in their medical history just by the way they walk through the door. So you're making that decision in your head to take that blood pressure before you do a filling. Like, you typically wouldn't do that on every single person. But yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of little decisions that need to be made every day. I think that's the hardest thing that it's been getting used to from the beginning,
Yeah, definitely. And pretty much exhausted, by the time you get home and hit the bed at night from all the mental decisions, that you do, let alone the physical toll that dentistry can play on you as well. So it's a full on exercise of all the human anatomy, I suppose.
Yeah. It's a mental marathon. That's for sure.
Man. Well, you've been doing just so many great things in the community, helping so many people. The reviews and things that you read about your practice show that. Certainly, we've been honored to just play just even a small role in that process. And my last question for you, Ryan, is those listening to this today who are considering practice ownership, right? And they're just kind of on the fence. Maybe it's a confidence thing. They're just not sure, if they can do it, if they're built for it. What is maybe a big piece of advice that you would give somebody who's considering practice ownership, and maybe you'd go back and tell yourself a few years ago before you had the experience?
Yeah, I think, I started pretty early. Like, the process for me starting this practice was only a year and a half out of dental school. The first place that I worked at, I was so miserable there, and trying to make it work to have potential partnership with that place, because I thought that I needed to make it work for some reason in my head for over a year and a half. And then finally, the day I left there was the first day that I had a meeting to start my startup process. I used Ideal Practices, and they were fantastic as well. That's where a lot of this team started. But if I were to look back at it, I would say start the process earlier if I was having any sort of doubts from the beginning. But that's a lot of it because of the person that I am. I'm a people pleaser. I can't help it. I like people being happy. I just like seeing smiles on people's faces. And for me, like, going through the whole process of that first year and a half out of dental school, trying to become a great dentist is hard when you only see 2 patients a day in dental school. And then you come out into the real world and you realize that's not real. So becoming a great dentist is difficult enough when you're happy. I think when you're miserable, you really have to reevaluate what it is that's making you not happy, and chase what's going to give you the freedom to live your life a way that you can look back on and really be proud of what you left here. It took me a year and a half to make that jump, and honestly, somebody else made the jump for me because they fired me, and that night I was ready to go. I think it was enough of a push over the edge that I was ready to take the jump myself.
And now that look back as big blessing in disguise, right? In the moment, probably, I mean, you're miserable and everything during it, but it sucks to get fired. But it's now looking back on it, it's like, wow, that was all part of this bigger plan, right, for you and your life.
Yeah, I mean, when you get fired because you don't want to be a partner somewhere, it really makes you reevaluate what you can do as a person if you have these ideas inside already that you want to do something greater and you want to create something. But I think that's my biggest advice is like, if you have that bug in you, that entrepreneur bug, and you can make it through dental school. I mean, shoot, if you could get into dental school, you've got the IQ. You know, it's not anything to do with smarts. A lot of it has to do with your work ethic and your ability to really create teams. I think that's a huge one. And I needed to have that push. And as unhappy as I was that first year and a half, man, looking back on the last year, I feel like I've done 10 years of fulfillment in a year. You know, it's been amazing. So I have no regret.
That's beautiful. Well, and because you mentioned that, I do have to ask, because this is a really cool story, if you're okay with sharing it. But I know Laura, our team, who works a lot with you, had mentioned one thing that you were able to do with building this practice was with your wife's, I think, student loans, something along there. Can you mind maybe sharing a little bit about that and just the impact that this has been able to have for you and your family?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. Is the goal's not financially based typically, but it is a measurable goal, and we hit it. And I was able to pay off my wife and my student loans in a year. It was right about $400,000 in student loans. And I saved up a lot to open the practice to make sure that I didn't have to work at my associateship and I could be here. But I funneled money back into the practice, and the community, it rewarded me, and I was able to pay off our student loans. Trying to think what else. I mean, there's been so much that we've been able to do. Like, another reward for the team that we did was the first outing we did as a team was we went to go take a party bus to the Braves game, and we hung out at the Braves game, and nobody had to worry about driving. We could just hang out as a team. We went to the racetrack in here in Dawsonville, and we did some go-kart racing together. So that's another reward, is that we have the ability to do fun things together. But yeah, student loans is huge. That's a big weight that's not on my back anymore, because that was a lot. I mean, that's a house.
Yeah. Well, now it frees up, like you said, decisions you could probably make to reinvest into the practice, reinvest into the team, because you don't have that hanging over your head. So it's like the mental toll that can play on you. I know is so hard. So, but I think it's beautiful what you talked about there. It's like, it's the moments though that's like, yeah, you have those benefits. I think that's one of the great things about practice ownership, but it's the moments that you're creating right now in your life and your story with your team, and the connection that you're building with them, and seeing the fun, right, like outside the office, and then the the demand in the office. It's like being, because you played baseball, and it's like being on a team, right, where it's like you have the highs and the lows with that group, but the bond that is created is something that you just can't put a price on.
No, you can't. And that's one thing that I always tell people too. We had that ideal patient review that we wrote before we were open. And that's one thing that I use in the hiring process, is I send it to them just to get the reaction on it, to see what they think about what I want an ideal patient review to look like. And it is, I tell everyone that this is a team. It's not a family at all. I have a family at home and I love them, and we prioritize our families a lot, but this is a unit, and we're trying to win the World Series here. We got to function great as a team. But from that, you get relationships that are just as close as family. I don't want them to come in here thinking that I'm like their dad or something. Like that's not how the team functions well. We got to function in our own roles, and they know that I'm humble enough to realize I don't know everything about insurance. And just because I've got some letters behind my name doesn't make me more important than anybody else in the practice. We all have our role, and we got to do it well and back each other up. Can I say two other things that I'm really proud about? I'm happy.
Absolutely.
All right. So 2 other things that I've been able to do this year that not being a practice owner did not allow me to do were, I did full mouth reconstruction on my dad, which was amazing. And we're about halfway through it, and he smiled for the first time that I've ever seen him smile in my whole life after we got done. So that was a $25,000 case just for the top, and I was able to do it for him because I have my own practice now and we're successful, And the other thing was, my grandma, she's getting older, but she's always had the dream of going to the Giraffe Manor over in Kenya. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's really cool. but I talk with Lara all the time because, she lives in South Africa. And I just was able to book it last week because she's getting older and she can't move as well. But we're going to go there for sometime in November for a couple days. I'm going to finally get to take her to Giraffe Manor so she can live her dream out and go feed the giraffes when she wakes up for breakfast. That's going to be pretty cool.
Gosh, man, like that's a quote a Kenny Chesney song right here, but that's the good stuff, right? Like that's awesome, man. I don't have any words for it. That is awesome. And the impact, that you get to have on, like those two stories right there with your family, dude. That's amazing. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you so much. And that's a great way to end this. So for all of you listening out there, Ryan Driesse, Mountain City Dentistry, just invaluable resource. Go check them out, on social media. I'm sure when he's not, running from room to room, if you get a question for him or so, DM him. I'm sure he'll find some time to answer. He's a great guy and someone to know. And just Ryan, thank you so much for being on here and just all the success you've had. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Shane. Thank you so much for everything you guys do for me. I mean, you are my marketing budget. You and then everything that I send to Rotary, every time I have to pay my quarterly bills, I put back in the community, and then I pay you guys to make sure that you can guide me down this journey because y'all are experts at what you do. And if anybody has any questions, if they want some advice, I'm here for anything. Just send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. I don't check that too much, but yeah, you can look our practice up, and I'm here for you if you need anything. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. Thanks, Shane. I appreciate it, man.